What are you doing?
We're making fills, so putting the plaster in for ceramics, so they can be handled without breaking. This one kept breaking here. So yeah, so we do plaster fills, sand them down, and then we paint them with a wash so that they blend in, but you can still tell that they're not
The real thing. And what is the white thing? Is that plaster?
It's plaster, yeah, which is what we use here. You can also use micro balloons, which Kelly's had a go at using, but you have to use
What is micro?
It's sort of glass, very small glass balloons that you mix with an adhesive, and it forms sort of white paste, but you can only use it on quite small areas. So for large ones like this, and the one that's going to be done on the bigger part, you have to use plaster.
I see. And the other material, does it have to be hot?
No, none of it's hot. Plus we've got the powder, and we just mix it with the water. And we tend to get the shape, we put wax, dental wax, mould to the shape on the outside, and then you just basically push the plaster into the gap while it's still wet, and then wait for it to dry and do what we're doing now, which is just shaping off so it's flush with the surface.
You're sandpapering it, yeah?
Yeah, we take it with a scalpel and then sandpaper, because you've got to have it very smooth before you paint it, otherwise all the imperfections show.
And why is it that it's black? Is that the type of ceramic?
This ceramic, yeah, it seems, I think it's quite a common one. At the moment it's got quite a bit of plaster on it, but that comes off. But yeah, it's quite common. I think it's from when it was fired, and they also, a lot of them have organic residue inside, charred residue. So yeah, they're quite important. There seems to be quite a few of them. But the ceramics lab only send us a couple of them. So like Doyle's one that's pretty complete, or ones like this that they need stuff doing so they can study it. Otherwise they pretty much look after them themselves.
And now a question that is not scientific at all.
Okay.
So when you do that, what do you think? I mean, do you think about the pot, or who made it, or where does it come from?
Yeah, I mean, part of what we do, particularly as I've just finished one of my years at uni, is for all our objects before we work on them, we have to know about basically, where they come from, why they're important in the past and now, and we also study ceramics and other materials. So yeah, I mean it's very interesting, and it's interesting to see, particularly what, because there's so many specialists, they can tell you quite a lot about what you're working on, which is nice, it makes it a lot more satisfying.
But from your gut feeling, I mean, if I ask you, do you know who made this pot? Was it a man, a woman? Was it a middle-aged woman?
See, no, we don't get any of that really.
But do you think about it?
Sometimes. I mean, here it tends to be more sort of, you think about it as the objects and how can we make it safe to work with and handle and stuff. But I think when you actually go up onto site and do the site tours, it's very nice because you then see where the stuff you're working on has come from, you see the human remains, and then when you're up there I think it's a lot more like, wow, it was made a very long time ago by some of the people that you're actually seeing. So, yeah.
So imagine that we go back 9,000 years ago. What would you be doing?
Me? Oh, I don't know.
Have a go.
Oh, only 9,000 years ago. Hopefully something practical like this, making things really. I don't know, as long as I was busy, which I'm sure I would be, I think I'd be quite happy.
You'd be quite happy.
So, yeah.
Can you tell me what you're doing?
Basically, I am removing the fill that I put in yesterday because where this joins is about 2 centimeter join, and once I filled it in yesterday, it moved, and then everything dried together, so it was off. And the stuff that I'm using, which is glass microbeads, you can soften it, but you can't mold it back, basically once it's in place.
I see.
So I am removing what I did yesterday, and I'm going to redo it, except I'm going to do it with plaster, because it dries a little bit faster. So it can hopefully be held in the correct position long enough to stay.
And is it easy to handle the plaster and this stuff?
Plaster, well, they both handle pretty easily. It's just this one you have to do it in layers and wait for the layer to dry and then add another one. Or the plaster you can kind of just put it on really quickly and then smooth it out. But this one's a lot easier to remove than the plaster, so it's probably better to do this one first.
Oh, I see. So plaster is difficult to remove, is it?
Yeah, because it gets stuck unless you, I mean, there's a way that you can do it, but normally if you just do it directly onto the pot, it gets stuck in the core material of the pot, and then you have to literally pick it out, which is kind of what I'm doing, but acetone will remove these glass microbeads pretty simply, so just more effective.
And what is it, this thing? Is it a piece from a jar or a jug? Or?
It is a jar-ish thing. I don't know. It has a couple more pieces that go with it, with this in-size design. Supposedly, from what I've been told, it's pretty important.
It looks beautiful, doesn't
And
it?
it's a really nice design. So it's later, so probably calorific-ish.
Which is how many years, more or less?
5,000?
5,000?
4, 5, 6?
I think so.
Yeah, around
Around 3,000
to 5.
or 3 to 5.
Three and a
It's
half
right before
times.
Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Neolithic, Çatalhöyük, Bronze Age, which is around 3,000 when it starts. So, before that, and this was dug in 2002, and was previously conserved, and the pieces were joined, and they found that these two pieces actually do join and will
I
be
see.
put together.
And now a question that is not scientific at all. When you work, what do you think?
This is a pain.
It's a pain?
It's a pain, and I should have done it correctly the first time.
But do you ever think of the person who made the actual thing and what was it for?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, we're taught to, to whole understand the meaning of the objects and things like that, but working on so many pots, you're like, okay, a pot, it's got pretty painting on it, but it's still just a pot. I mean, sometimes with, like, if it has, really nice designs, you kind of wonder, like, oh, how did they get that on there, or, what did they use, but past that.
Did you ever get a sense if the person who made it was a man or a woman?
No.
No idea.
No, not at all. I worked on another site that I worked on. There was a pumice tool that, from the grooves where the hand was, you could tell that the person was left-handed. But past that, no.
And imagine that you were sort of living in this place 5,000 years ago. What do you think you would be doing?
Me, I would probably. I wouldn't be cooking or cleaning. I don't know.
Hunting dinosaurs? Oh, dinosaurs, they didn't exist.
Yeah. I really have no concept of that. Probably building houses and things like that, which is what I do now. So.
That's what you would be doing.
Yeah. I'm not doing this, so.
What about this other thing you got on the table, which looks like a jewel?
Yeah, it's a cattle mandible. It's a smaller one comparatively to the other ones we've had, so it's either a younger animal that was killed.
What sort of animal is it?
A cattle, so cow.
Oh, okay.
Roughly. It is a floor deposit, so this along with 5 other mandible, 2 scapula, a horn core, a couple other pieces were laid on the plaster floor with pieces of obsidian, which is a kind of common trait here is to leave items when the building is deserted. So,
Can you tell the size of the animal? How big it was?
me, no. The faunal people can. I can't. Not with cows. I can do apes and humans, but not cows.
I mean, it depends.
I mean,
if it's
yeah.
a huge bone, if it's the massive size, then
Yeah.
you could
Get
work
it
out that
out.
it was a big animal, bigger than maybe its peers, you know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, relatively compared to the other ones that were found, this one's quite smaller to the ones in the area. So, but it's the left side. How do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been that way.
Good.
No, it would have been their jaw that way.
It's got lovely teeth.
Yeah, all the teeth are intact.
Really?
So they kind of grow from the inside out, so they get lots of these layers, pores, unlike human teeth.
And how old is it?
Pardon?
How old is it? Any idea?
I don't even know. It's from the TP area, and I don't know what their deposits are, honestly.
No idea. No.
No concept.
Great. Thank you very much.
And there is an area of a large amount of phytolith remains that you could see visibly from the patterning that it was material that hadn't yet been made into anything, but it was plants that had been collected and laid there. So it was before I arrived, so they took a sample for me, which I have here, but there's sort of lumps of sediment and just a few of the fragments of phytoliths in there, so I'm just trying to pick them out.
Uh-huh.
I need to get my tool from my bag. So.
Okay. What is exactly you're doing? You're extracting one mineral from another, if it's a mineral, I have no idea.
But it kind of is a mineral because phytoliths are formed from silica.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've got a lump of sediment here and some bits of phytolith adhered to the top, and I'm trying to flick them off carefully because if I get a pure phytolith sample, then I can analyse it quickly, and then I can say what
And what did
it
you find
derives.
out?
I can see what it derives from, what type of grass or sedge possibly.